where best friends and next-door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready, and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian, and with me is Willow. Hello. Yeah. So, if you were like, hey, where did you guys go? And where's part 4 of the Texas Killing Fields? Here's what happened. Just life is very crazy. It's the holidays. Mm-hmm. Everybody had to work.
My kids were out of school, and my back gave out.
Yeah, so it was just a whole bad time. So we had to take the week off. But hey, we're going to have part 4 on our Patreon, and it's public, which means it'll be free for everyone. And we're going to try and get that up this week. Mm-hmm. In addition to a Patreon episode. So just fucking bear with us. We're catching up. We're catching up. It's a good way to start 2025. Just leave it alone.
Can I just say something?
I mean, you can say whatever you want.
It's really neurodivergent, but it's been... I don't like the way that I write the number 5. So all year... Every day that I have to write the date, it's going to be... I just already don't like this year. I fucking hate this year.
Considering that last year was awful for me on several levels, I just don't... I'm beaten.
Did you hear about the Cybertruck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard about
it. It's already nuts. It's already nuts.
Stupid.
It's already crazy.
Stupid.
Yeah.
So I'm not here.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah. So y'all, I've rolled over. I'm showing my belly. I'm defeated. There's nothing more that... Nope, not saying that. Don't say that. Don't put that... Don't
smite me.
I'm not going to put that evil on myself.
Knock on wood.
There we go.
Yep.
I have a little wood table. I have a weird little high wood table.
It's
nice. I have
nice.
my microphone on.
Cute.
It's nice and it's cute. And it's me-sized. It's not Hobbit-sized like for Willow.
Yes. I have a Hobbit-sized table. I cuddle it. It's nice.
She sits real weird.
Yeah, I do.
Mara sits weird too. So
I sit real weird.
Yeah.
So, do you want to announce this month's theme?
There isn't one.
Exactly.
It's a grab bag, bitch.
Yep. It's
that
whatever.
We're just gonna pick cases
whatever
we
want to do. Yep. Yeah. It's delusional month.
It's Delulu month. That's the theme. Leave me alone. No, I don't know what I'm covering. Actually, I have like 5 cases I'm looking at right now to I have some good ones. But I'm not going to spoiler it. You have to tune in.
Tune in to find out.
All right, let's get this show on the road.
Okay, so this is the case that I've kind of been mentioning here and there for a while. I've been wanting to cover this. It's the Bibba Henry and Nicole Smallman case. Trigger warnings are for, there's not many, like, I don't really go into any, like, horrific descriptions. Mostly the trigger warnings are for the content of the discussions, like racism, and I mean, yeah, I described like some of the wounds, the crime scene, whatever, but honestly, if you have high blood pressure, if things make you very angry and you're prone to that, just, I don't know, sit down, calm yourself, have a fidget toy, something, because this case is one of those cases that will enrage you if you're sensitive to those kinds of things. This is by far one of the more gut-wrenching and senseless murders that I've had to research. It's 2020 lockdown, and it's Bibba Henry's 46th birthday. It's a lovely spring day at the park, which turned into an evening dancing under the stars, 2 sisters enjoying one of the best moments of their lives, followed by the worst. A sick and sadistic killer, a traumatized family, corrupt police, the media coverage, the protest, the social uprising. This is going to be a long episode. The sisters, Bibba Henry and Nicole Smallman, were extremely close despite their 18-year age difference. They were inseparable and basically best friends. Technically half-sisters through their mother, Bibba was born June 5th, 1974, to parents Herman Henry and Wilhelmina Tecumba, Mina for short. She also had a daughter, Monique, during this time. Monique isn't really talked about much in this case, so there's not really much information on their sister Monique, because she lived in Holland at the time. But their mother ended up remarrying in 1992 to a man named Christopher Smallman, and together they had Nicole, born August 3rd, 1992. The family was very close. Christopher Smallman was their stepdad technically, but he was their dad. Like, this was a very tight-knit family. One of those families, those types of families where you don't necessarily need friends because your family is your friend. Like, yeah, sure, you have friends, but not necessarily the type of family that we grew up in, where we kind of needed friends and needed friends' houses to go stay at. This was not that family. This family really had a great bond.
I don't know what that's like.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't really know how much else to describe it. Their mother, Mina, is a fierce Scorpio woman of Scottish and Nigerian descent. Most notably, the Church of England's first black female archdeacon. She had to fight her way through decades of misogyny and racism from privileged white men for the quote-unquote right to become a priest, though she earned it in every way regardless, in spite of and in honor of being a black female in today's society. She was extremely intelligent and very talented. She studied drama, English, and voice at the Central School of Speech and Drama, earning the bachelor's degree, and going on to teach drama for 15 years, becoming an assistant principal at John Kelly's School Girls Technology College in 2005, and then becoming an ordained deacon of the Church of England in 2006, and then a priest by 2007. Needless to say, her daughters admired their mother and were, in their own ways, very much like her. The oldest daughter, Bibba, was a social worker. When asked to describe Bibba, every single loved one that knew her said that she was strong. And I know that Lillian, you and I talked about people describing us as strong.
Ain't the compliment you think it is. Please do not.
Right. It's
really not. It hurts every time.
I don't know. And I just think that collectively, if a woman is considered strong,
that bitch been through too much. Don't call her strong.
I feel
again.
like everyone should just pause for a moment anytime they hear that and just sit and think about the things that woman may have gone through. Yeah.
And maybe offer up yourself as somebody they can be vulnerable around, because that's strong women don't get that. We're forced to be strong.
Right.
I'm a silly little guy. Like, if you boil me down to my base element, I'm just a silly little guy who's here to have a good time. And anything else put on me I didn't ask for, didn't want, and could barely manage, that I'm still here, I think is weird luck, not even strength. I do not feel strong. I cry easily. I got so stressed out about my car, I nearly just fucking died. Like a fainting goat. I just I could not fucking cope. Like, my face swelled up and I couldn't breathe. It wasn't a panic attack. I got like anaphylaxis from shock. I scared the car mechanic and made him cry a little bit. That's how pathetic I am. So when people say, William, you're so strong, I'm just like, oh, bitch. Oh, nope. I'm about to cry right now. I just think you mean I survived.
Something that you couldn't.
Something that I didn't think and other people didn't think I could.
Right.
And maybe resilient would be a better term.
Resilient feels good too.
Resilient feels.
I think that's what they mean. I think strong is most times when it's looked fondly upon, it's for lack of better terms.
This is how I see it. I feel like something that's strong is unbendable and unbreakable. Resilient is something that will bend but not break. So I'm resilient as fuck. I will adapt. I don't like it, and I'm upset, and I'm crying, having a moment, but I'll bounce back, I guess.
My dad told me that I was appropriately named Willow because I bend and I don't break.
Bingo.
That was really
resilience. Sweet. And adaptability, dexterity, and weird situations. That's what I like.
Right.
But strong, just throw the word in the trash. I don't want to hear it. It seems like also an excuse for people to not listen to you or not notice your struggling.
Or to undermine your struggles.
That too. Say, well, you can handle it.
Exactly.
How many times have I heard that shit?
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. Okay, I'm shutting up.
It was already a topic of conversation recently anyways, but It was definitely her defining trait. She was very mighty for how tiny she was. She was barely 5 feet tall. And basically, her personality took up as much space as it could, as it should. She was bright and cheerful. She breathed life into the room. She was friends with everyone, the type of person who never met a stranger. She was part of every circle, the type of girl who didn't fit into one particular clique or archetype. She was adaptable and could vibe with just about anyone. Her little sister, Nicole, was the opposite. She was not described as someone who lit up the room, but instead more like a nightlight in the dark. She glowed. She was mysterious and shy, but graceful. She tended to keep to herself, and she had a smaller circle of friends. She was a photographer and an artist. Her and her boyfriend, Adam Stone, had been together for 6 years and were madly in love. They met on Facebook and soon started dating. She lived with him and at his parents' house for a few years, but had recently moved out to live with her best friend in a shared flat. Now, a lot of people want to dissect this case a little bit too far and say that her and her boyfriend Adam were going through a rough patch, like they were separating, and that's why she was living with her friend in her flat. She was very young. She was still in her 20s, and this boyfriend was somebody she knew she was going to be with forever. Forever, and always. She wanted to kind of take a break from living at his parents' house because let's just face it, we don't have that type of money right now. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, you know what I mean? And his parents were cool. Like, his parents were chill. But she just wanted to, like, kind of take some time off from that before she committed to forever and have a flat with her best friend. She had never had that opportunity before.
Yeah.
So, like, it was a really cute, really darling living situation. Her and her boyfriend were constantly in contact. They slept over at each other's places still. But she had a bearded dragon that was kind of like her baby. Like, instead of having a child, she had a bearded dragon, and she loved that bearded dragon. So if she did ever go to her boyfriend's house, that bearded dragon had like a full list of the routine of feeding and changing, and, you know, I don't know, she really kept up with it. But by Friday, June 5th, 2020, it's the early stages of the pandemic. Everyone had been in lockdown for 3 months. The weather is just now getting warm, and people are cautiously making their way outside for the first time since quarantine. Social distancing is still very much enforced. Travel restrictions are in place. But outgoing Bibba still wanted to do something fun for her 46th birthday. So they decided to celebrate in the open air at Friant Country Park in London. A 265-acre park with plenty of room to social distance, right? Like many city parks, there were nice walkways through open fields, ponds, there was a little lake, there's benches and tables, trees and wooded areas outlined the park. But it was still in the middle of the city, in the middle of London, conveniently placed within walking distance of residential areas. So they were able, because of the travel restrictions, people from out of town or the outskirts even of town couldn't come to her birthday, but anyone within walking distance was able to make it. She texted all of her friends that were able to walk, texted them an invite saying, quote, "Please bring a blanket, lights, snacks, and bring pillows, lights, snacks, and a blanket of your choice. Let's have a catch up. Play some sophisticated music, watch the sunset, and take it from there." Bibba and Nicole went to the store together to get snacks and were the first to arrive at the park. They got everything set up. They laid out a blanket with lots of pillows, portable speaker, and fairy lights. They had snacks and drinks, and a small group of about 10 friends and family members trickled in one by one, bringing gifts and more party favors. Bibba and Nicole had the fairy lights draped around them so that way their friends could see them from a distance, kind of like waving and dancing as they approached. It was a happy time. They had a magical night. They wined, they dined, they laughed, They cried. It was everything they could ask for. They watched the sunset over London together, taking pictures and singing as the sky changed colors until it was dark. Afterwards, one by one, people started heading home for the evening, but Nicole and Bibba stayed behind to play under the stars like they did when they were kids. Adam received a text from Nicole at 1:05 a.m. that said, "I'm dancing in a field." At 1:15 a.m., she sent him a picture of her and Bibba draped in fairy lights dancing. And like the fairy lights kind of like left these little like streams of light, like little tracers. And they were having a lot of fun taking these pictures. It's one of those sad moments in a case where photos that are supposed to be happy end up being
the saddest
the main thing that you remember of the case, you know? But she sent him some photos and she said, "Going home soon." He knew she was in her happy place with her favorite person in the world, so he fell asleep without any worry. Until the next morning, he woke up and saw that there was no text from Nicole after that. Nicole was extremely transparent with him. She would always tell him what she was doing and where she was going, when she was leaving and when she arrived. It was kind of her habit, like we all do with our loved ones. I know I'm that way, but there was nothing. Last he knew, she was dancing under the stars with her sister, but where was she now? That morning, their mother, Mina, had tried texting her daughters back about the pictures that they had sent the night before. They were so happy. She was so glad that they had a good time. She couldn't make it because she lived out of town and there were, travel restrictions, but they made sure to take lots of photos and tell her all about it so that way she felt included. At around 11:30 a.m., she texted back, quote, "Lovely photo. Good turnout. I hope you had a lovely time. Tell me all about it later." But later never came. Adam got a hold of Nicole's roommate, Emma, who said that Nicole had never made it home that night. Not only would she never have stayed out without telling her boyfriend or her best friend where she was going, she would have also never have left without leaving instructions for her bearded dragon. Like I said, she was an active dragon mom. She would have at least planned for his care, at least phoned ahead. But she didn't. And clearly something was up. Emma checked around with other mutual friends, and no one had heard from Nicole. Adam called her phone over and over and over again, but no answer. It was off. He tried tracking it, but nothing. Her location was off. Adam went to Bibba's. No one was there. They continued searching through friends, but no one had seen them. They tried to hope for the best, that possibly maybe their phones had just died and that they were still together, and maybe that they just kept having fun. But as the day rolled on, the hours passed by one, it became more and more evident that the likelihood of that being the case was very, very unlikely. When Mina still hadn't heard from her daughters that evening, she called Adam, and by then they both knew something really bad was wrong. Adam called the police and told them what had happened, and they told him that the girls would probably come back soon, that they would probably end up going back to Bibba's if that was the case, and they were probably just out having a good time and they'll be back there. So they said that, "Why don't you meet us there? It's likely they'll go back to Bibba's. Just meet us at Bibba's and we'll wait for them there." So Adam went with his mother to Bibba's flat. The police never showed up. They were just satiating them.
They were just giving them bullshit like they do in these cases.
Exactly, to shut them up.
To make them quiet.
Yeah.
And it's really infuriating. I think it kills hope too, and I think that's the intention.
1,000%. Mm-hmm. Or it creates hope that's false.
Yeah. But I think ultimately it builds it up to let it crash down,
yes, exactly.
And get too upset to do anything.
Exactly. Their mother, Mina, also called police to report their daughters missing. She gave them all the information she could. She detailed their descriptions and what they were wearing based on the photos they had sent her. She detailed what she knew of their timeline based on their contacts and their accounts. She did everything she could, but they didn't seem to listen. They said that they'd open a missing persons case, but they basically said that there was nothing really they could do at the time. Adults were allowed to go missing, and it's the weekend. They're probably still celebrating. They'll be home soon, whatever bullshit excuse they could use to get Mina off the phone. And they just sent them their way. But they just couldn't give up. That night, Mina couldn't sleep, so she just texted her girls over and over and over again. Where are you? I hope you're okay. Please let me know you're okay. Please answer me. Just texting them all night long, because what else is she going to do? Just hoping that maybe they would answer them. When police made no effort to find the girls that night and didn't do a search in the park that next morning, the family decided they had to take matters into their own hands. Nicole's friends made missing persons posters and began sharing them all over social media, trying to push this to become viral. They called hospitals to see if they had anyone injured that fit their description. Nothing turned up. Mina's husband, Christopher, decided to drive down to London himself and search the last place the girls were seen, Friant Country Park. Nicole's boyfriend, Adam, joined him in the search. His parents also came to help search. One of their friends named Nina, who was there that Friday night at the park, came to help as well. Now, since she was there that night, she was able to guide everyone to the spot that they had been and where they were last seen. None of the blankets and pillows and none of the decorations that they had up, the lights, the speakers, none of that was there. It was as if they had completely vanished without a trace. It looked like maybe if anything did happen to them, it is likely that it could have possibly happened after they left the park. Like maybe they packed everything up and maybe they were attacked on their way out of the park. But while they were at the park, they decided to search there first and foremost, and then branch out if they needed to. So they all split up into different directions. Nina went down the hill and found a flattened section of grass. It looked a little suspicious. And in this flattened section of grass, she found broken glasses. They were Bibba's. They were
so scary. I would hate to find something like
her
that.
best, like one of her best friends.
Yeah. Oh, I just can't imagine.
And they were very specific too. They were Bibba's prescription sunglasses that she had on her at all times. So if it wasn't daylight, she would have them on her head. So these, like I said, they were expensive. They were something that she would protect and would keep safe and would definitely not just casually throw them about, right? This was not a good sign. Nina called the police and told them what she had found. They told her to bring them in for evidence. So she rode her bike to the nearest police station while also texting Adam with updates. He felt helpless. He said that he hadn't found anything and he didn't know what else to do. Nina texted back, quote, if you can bear it, just keep looking. So they continued. Adam.
How could you bear not to?
Right. Well, there's that part of you that
doesn't want to find
once
anything.
One thing is found, it's like, ooh, do I want to continue searching?
You don't, but you have to.
Do you want to find what you don't want to find?
Yeah, I can't imagine being in that position.
Adam found some glasses on the ground, but they didn't look like either of the girls, so he didn't touch them, and he kept going. He kept looking. His father, who was searching close by, called out. He pointed Adam to a flattened section of grass where a kitchen knife lay. It looked clean, but they did get a sinister feeling off of looking at the knife, so they didn't touch it, and they called police. While his dad was on the phone describing the knife that he had found, Adam continued looking down the path of flattened grass. And just a trigger warning just trigger warning your heart. Okay. He continued down the path of flattened grass and he found a pair of shoes. He walked a little further down the grass and he let out a blood-curdling scream. I don't know if I can make it through this. I'm really sorry in advance. There in the brush, he found the lifeless body of the love of his life, 27-year-old Nicole Smallman. Her eyes were open, staring at him, posed in an embrace with her sister, newly 46-year-old Bibba Henry. Their bodies were covered in blood and stab wounds. His father still on the phone with dispatch, his mother close by. They all heard his screams and raced towards him, but he jumped up and stopped them. He told them to go back. He didn't want them to have to see what he just saw.
God.
Dispatch had also heard the screams. Police were finally on their way. Luckily, close by, a man also heard Adam's screams and flagged down a nearby officer and sent, it was like 2 officers standing close by, and sent them down to the park. They were able to console the family, observe the scene, and prepare the oncoming officers. London police officers locked down the park as a crime scene and staged officers at certain areas, because this is a very big park, including around the girl's body, so that everything was preserved until forensic experts could arrive at the scene and do a full analysis before their bodies were moved. Adam called Mina to tell her the horrific news. She screamed a scream no mother should ever have to scream. Her husband, Christopher, was on his way to Friant Park when he got the call from Mina. Their world had shattered in that moment. Some friends and family began showing up at the park in the area near the edge of the roped-off crime scene. They wanted to be as close to their girls as they could. Officers surrounded to control the perimeter. One grieving relative approached, sobbing, begging to see Bibba and Nicole just one last time. The officers looked at her and said, quote, "We can't do that, but we will look after them. We will protect them. We will respect them. We will promise that." Meanwhile, the guards that were put in place to quote-unquote protect and respect Bibba and Nicole's remains were back at the crime scene in the woods. Just trigger warning for your blood pressure.
Yeah, I'm going to get mad.
The ones protecting their bodies were over there taking selfies with their corpses.
Oh, I don't have words for how foul that is.
Like, I want to throw up.
There's no place
saying that out loud. It's one thing to read that in a news article. It's a whole other thing to say that sentence with your whole mouth. Officers Dennis Jaffer, age 47, and Officer Jamie Lewis, age 33, took selfies with Bibba and Nicole's bodies in the background and uploaded them to a group chat of over 41 officers and friends on WhatsApp. The group chat was entitled COVID Cunts. With the photos...
I don't understand.
It's disgusting.
I just don't understand.
It's fucking vile.
I can't imagine being that cruel.
With the photos that were uploaded, Officer Jamie Lewis commented, quote, "Unfortunately, I'm sat next to 2 dead birds full of stab wounds," end quote. Dennis Jaffer posted in another smaller WhatsApp group saying, quote, "I have pictures of 2 dead victims. Let me know who doesn't want to see." He also sent photos of their bodies to a former colleague saying, "This is what I have to deal with." Luckily, one of the members of the WhatsApp group reported the activity and They were arrested and only jailed.
Only one?
They were both of them were arrested. Only one person came forward. Out of all of those people, only one person came forward.
Oh, shit.
They were sentenced to 33 months.
Gross.
They don't get to be police officers anymore, which is way more than what they would get in the United States. They would get a free vacation and a raise.
And then, yeah.
Exactly. But 33 months. In court, prosecuting attorney Joel Smith said, quote, "The bodies of the women would not have been visible from the path adjacent to the large bush where they were found, nor would it have been possible to take the photographs taken by the defendants from their position of the cordon. Accordingly, to take the photos found on their phones, the officers would have had to enter the bush itself, thus risking contamination of the crime scene." Adding, quote, The offending stripped Miss Henry and Miss Smallman of dignity in death. The factor is more weighty given that the officers were charged with protecting their bodies, end quote. The two officers were originally cordoned at the tree line. Officer Lewis would have had to walk down the path to get within 12 feet of their bodies in order for the photo to be taken. Apparently, he had gone down by himself to take the selfies, and then he had sent all the photos to the other officer who was standing watch at the tree line. And that officer, Dennis Jaffer, had actually edited himself into the photos. He went an extra step to edit himself into the photos.
That's vile. That's vile beyond words.
Now, I don't want to get into the history and background of these two officers, but just know this is not uncommon to what they do on a daily basis. They are vile. As
a woman, you can't even fucking die.
They are vile.
You can't even fucking die.
Extreme racism, extreme, just everything. Just absolutely terrible human beings. It was clear to see that back to the actual crime scene, the place that they had just fucking ruined. It was clear to see that due to the flattened grass and the missing shoes, it appeared as though they had been dragged to the place that they were and placed there intentionally, propped up in an intertwined embrace. Bibba's clothing had been pulled over her head, and there were abrasions all down her back. She'd likely been dragged by her feet. She suffered 8 stab wounds and likely died first. Her sister Nicole's clothing was pulled up halfway, and she also had abrasions on her back from being dragged, likely by her feet as well. Nicole had been stabbed 28 times.
My God. The rage that is required for that.
The fight that she put up. They were attacked. She saw her sister getting stabbed. He only got 8 stabs in.
Before she tried to
Before she got him off of her sister.
Good.
She didn't run. She fought her sister's attacker and tried to save her sister's life with her own. And she fought hard. Most of her injuries were defensive wounds. And thank goodness she fought, because during that scuffle, the knife slipped from the killer's hands, cutting him, leaving a trail of his blood along with his victims. Investigators were thrilled to find a third DNA profile with the evidence they had gathered. They had also found all of Bibba and Nicole's belongings from their birthday party in the park. They had fished it out of a nearby lake that's in the park. Their blankets and pillows and purses and phones, everything. One pillow that was entered into evidence was a pillow that was also pictured in the photos the girls had sent their mother, Mina. It was a pillow that had the phrase written on it, quote, life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Which is essentially what they were doing. They were not waiting for the sunset to pass. They were dancing under the stars, you know? But it was now stained, covered in blood. On Nicole's phone, police found the photos that they had been taken that night. It was clear that they had set up a burst timer that would, take a series of photos every few seconds. The last photo of the sisters was taken at 1:13 a.m. while they were still playing with their fairy lights, dancing under the stars, playing with the tracers. The last photo at 1:13 shows Bibba and Nicole looking off to their left. It's likely that if that phone had taken one more photo, it would have likely caught their killer. It's believed that them looking off to the left, suddenly at that last photo, that they were looking off at the man approaching them. It's just bone-chilling. It's also likely that their killer knew that they were taking photos and that he may have been caught in the background because the phone had failed to unlock at 1:30 a.m., meaning that between their last photo at 1:13 and the failed attempt to unlock the phone at 1:30, they were killed in less than 15 minutes. The third unknown DNA recovered from evidence was entered into criminal database. In the UK, anyone who is arrested for a crime has their DNA entered into the criminal database, regardless if they are actually charged or not, which I think is brilliant. I fucking wish we would, I wish we would actually process the DNA samples that are already in our fucking freezers and libraries and bullshit, but the DNA was entered into the system. It triggered a half match, meaning that the suspect was related to a match in the DNA system. The half match was to a Mr. Hussein. He had previously been arrested for a petty crime but was never charged. Knowing it had to be someone in the family, in his immediate family, police kept quiet about their suspicions to that particular family and just canvassed the neighbors and surrounding areas for surveillance footage. The footage of that night showed a young man entering the Hussein residence around 4 a.m., suspiciously walking up to the house, not wearing any pants, just a t-shirt and a coat tied around his waist, covering what they would soon realize was a bloody hand. It was Daniel Hussein, this man's son, a perfect match. Daniel Hussein was barely 18 when he committed the murders. He grew up in Blackheath, the oldest of 4 siblings. Neighbors later said that before his parents split up, he was, when he was in his early teens, the house echoed down the street with sounds of fighting and yelling and screaming and shouting. Daniel was diagnosed with Asperger's disease, which we know as autism spectrum disorder. He was considered a loner and would regularly walk off when his peers were talking, which made the kids at school think that he was weird and gossip about him, and this isolated him even more. And this is one of those cases where you feel really, really, really bad for the child.
But not the adult he becomes.
Exactly. Not the murderer he becomes.
Yeah.
But the child himself, he was outcasted. He didn't really understand people around him. He really didn't understand the social norms. He didn't understand his peers. He just felt really isolated. He took to the internet and started looking up really concerning material, mostly on Reddit and 4chan. He'd look up file dismemberments and beheadings, all kinds of grotesque things, which a lot of it we looked up on the dark web as teenagers as well. I get it, whatever. But he got obsessed. And not just obsessed with like dark stuff like that, a lot of really troubling things. So much so that the school started to worry about him. In October of 2017, when Daniel was 15 years old, he was flagged after looking up far-right propaganda on the school's computers and was referred to the government's counter-extremism anti-terrorist program called PREVENT, that essentially works with police and social workers and therapists to essentially prevent this type of radicalization in young people before acts of violence actually begin to occur. So when he became a suspect, the police already knew who he was. They had already recognized his name, so they could kind of already understand him being a suspect. They considered him high risk at first whenever he was first entered into this program, but by May of 2018, he charmed his way out of the program and was released and considered rehabilitated. But obviously, we know that that wasn't true. He got obsessed with an American YouTuber called EA Coding, considered a quote-unquote pioneer in black magic. which I say that to kind of roll my eyes. Huh?
I know this dude.
You know this dude?
Yeah.
I didn't know this dude prior to this case. I took one look at him and was like, ooh, I don't want to hear a single word that comes out of his mouth.
No, he's icky.
So I didn't look up anything about him.
Just complete garbage person.
I don't want to hear his voice.
It's not worth hearing, and he's really not worth
Not at all. I just thought his, so whenever you type his name into Google, all you see are his books that he's written. So here's a list of some of the books that I just thought were very cringy, just based on what he looks like and who he is. Obviously, the Book of Azazel popped out. Becoming a Living God, Baal Without a Master, the World Domination Series, Works of Darkness, and the Grimoire of Amayamon. Am I saying that right? Amayamon?
I don't know, because I don't have the word in front of me.
Aminmon?
Spell it.
Amaymon. Aminmon?
Amayamon. Yeah, Amayamon.
Whatever. Daniel studied this EA coding guy, and he studied his works to a T. The murder of Bibba Henry and Nicole Smallman were more than just inspired by EA coding. It was basically taught by him through his step-by-step guide to making deals with demons. Daniel was arrested on July 1st, 2020, just after 1 p.m. when police busted down the door of his mother's home in a quiet cul-de-sac in southeast London. He predominantly lived with his mother, but the night of the murders, he was staying at his father's house just a few blocks away from Friant Park. Inside Daniel's room, they found a quote-unquote contract that Daniel had written. It was addressed to, quote, the mighty king Lucifuge Ruffacockle?
No.
That's not how you say it.
No.
I'm so sorry.
Lucifuge is correct, but I'd have to have the word in front of me. I can't.
AKA the Prime Minister of Hell is what he's called.
Yes.
Refocal? Whatever.
It's no.
On this paper, he details his terms and conditions. He says he will perform a minimum of 6 murders every 6 months, sacrifice only women, build a temple for this demon, and quote-unquote, do anything I have promised. He says that in return, he would like to win the Mega Millions super jackpot worth approximately $321 million. That was basically
It's Rofakile.
That's
Rofakale. Yeah.
He would also like to receive fruitful rewards in return for future sacrifices. He said, quote, could consist of wealth and power. Could. I don't know. Like, you choose. That's just a suggestion. Like, his contract to this demon is so weird.
I mean, that is like typical wording.
It's just so weird.
It's just the way it works. Like, I don't have time to explain like black magic and occult and Western esotericism, occultism to like everyone right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, EA coding sucks. Like, I think his interpretation of like, especially the Lesser Key of Solomon is garbage. He's a big Aleister Crowley stan, and we already made fun of him.
Yeah,
so,
fuck that guy.
Not that he was wrong necessarily. He just sucked.
He just looks like a piece of shit.
Crowley was a piece of shit.
No, I mean, I know that,
wrong.
but
he wasn't
this
wrong. I think
EA
he was
coding
a
guy.
And I'm sure he is a magician in his own right. Good for him. But it's his arrogance, of course.
Exactly.
That's like the number one thing. Like, when you get into the occult, is you must have humility.
Exactly.
Or else you're going to be a cunt. And that's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate when the occult is in crime because it makes people that already don't understand it.
Right. And then people get super scared about it.
And then they get all, Satan. And it has so little to do with that.
Yeah. Well, his obsession with like making deals with demons and making human sacrifices and all of that, like,
because what's silly is most of them, they just don't want that.
No,
those entities don't want that.
Yeah, they want you to live so you can suffer.
Not even that. Like, people just don't understand the Ars Goetia or Western esotericism at all. And it's not even about good and evil. It's about familiar spirits. And I'm not going to get into all of it.
Right.
But he had a very Christian view of the occult.
Yeah.
Clearly, because if you're saying, like, I'm going to sacrifice murder, pew, 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 then that's dumb and not...
It's very ignorant. The whole thing is very ignorant and very immature.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's part of his fixation.
Obviously.
Because, like, I mean, in his room, they found, like, sigils everywhere that he had made up and, like, just a lot of,
a lot of delusion going on.
Yes, lots of delusion, lots of fixations. Yeah. He's just micro-focused on this kind of stuff. And mostly just this guy's teachings. He's really obsessed with this guy's teachings. He on the bottom of this contract, he signed his name in blood, of course, and he even left like a little place next to his name. Like he wrote out like name, line, and then signed it in blood. And then he also made a part for King Lucifuge to also sign, which I just thought was really funny. Like, you sign here too, please. Next to the contract that they found, they also found a note addressed to Queen Byleth. Do you know that?
Yeah, I can spell it.
Byleth. I don't know. I didn't look up these people because I didn't really care enough, and I figured you already knew.
Yeah, it's just, I think that's an alternative spelling of something else, but I'm not sure which one. I don't have any of my books. So.
Well, he had wrote this other note addressed to this other demon, basically asking for a girl who he had fallen in love with to quote unquote believe and see that I am the only one for her, saying that he'd offer her incense, some sweet drink, chocolate, and some blood in exchange for him becoming quote unquote more attractive to women romantically.
Now, I will say, like, that's actually perfectly reasonable except for the blood. If he had left that off, that's usually what these things want. They want like a sweet treat, like wine or liquor. They want like, and you can see it in voodoo, like Haitian
I was about to see
and
ancestors and
African voodoo.
Absolutely.
You see it in people leaving out food for the fairies, like honey cakes and milk.
Absolutely.
And then the Day of the Dead, when you leave out bread.
You accidentally spill your beer and you say, oh, one for the homies. That's the same thing.
It is the same thing.
It is the same thing.
It is a type of magic that is in every single culture all around the world.
Yeah.
The idea of offerings to spirits in the form of libation and food. And so that's not weird. The blood is, they just don't want that.
Yeah.
They just super don't. Like there might be a couple.
But there's this like, this is like need to be edgy that people take it to like this like
that would, if you go against like the listed things that they want, it's often an insult.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, what are you trying to say? Ew. Yeah. I didn't ask for this.
Which makes sense why he got caught so bad.
Doo-doo on your doorstep along with like a lasagna.
Right.
You'd be like, well, I'm put off the lasagna now.
Right.
Fuck off.
Yeah, because one of his like stipulations in his contract was that he doesn't get caught. And it's like, well, you basically mocked the other side. So you're going to get caught in the most humiliating way with your pants off.
Yeah, with your pants off, you idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they get their vengeance.
Caught on camera with your pants off.
Like so caught.
Yeah.
Good.
So, God, I got completely lost in where I was. Police also searched his tablet, his computer, and his laptop. They found forums he was in discussing spells and potions and satanic ideology, as well as a lot of research on the far right. Apparently.
Shocking. The far right, you say?
Which I couldn't really find a lot of information on his family, and I think that was on purpose, which is fine. I didn't want to go poking around.
It is like, unfortunately, Western esotericism and the occult is a pipeline to the alt-right often.
Yeah. Well, no, but I'm saying Daniel Hussein is not white. He's like either Indian or Middle Eastern.
Pakistani or something like that, yeah.
Yeah. He's not white, but he believed that he was Aryan. So...
Oh, he's just delusional in many ways.
Yeah, he's a very sick person. He's very mentally ill. That does not excuse what he did, but it does explain quite a bit. So, and it's obviously it's likely that he targeted Bibba and Nicole because they were black. Now, beyond the satanic manifestos and the sigils, it was clear that Daniel had premeditated this murder. On June 3rd, he was caught on CCTV footage buying a kitchen block knife set, returning later to buy some tape. He also ordered a full face mask and collapsible shovels on Amazon with overnight shipping. The next day, on June 4th, he set up an online account at the lottogo.com, which sets up bets for the Mega Millions super jackpot. The following day, on June 5th, his Amazon package arrives, and as soon as it arrives, he heads off to the park, leaving his father's house around 8:40 p.m., which means he hid in those bushes and stalked those two sisters for hours, silently watching them dance and have the most magical night of their lives, knowing damn well that he was going to kill them. The day after the murders, he went to the hospital for stitches on his hand from when the knife slipped during the attack. Daniel Hussein was charged with 2 counts of murder. He tried to plead not guilty due to his autism, and because of his lack of, quote unquote, lack of memory, he refused to answer questions. Prosecutor Oliver Glasgow told the jury, quote, "Given the weight of the circumstance against him, or the evidence against him, only someone who actually believes that an agreement with a demon would actually work could refuse to accept any aspect of this case against him. It is hard to imagine that anyone could do to another human being what this defendant did to Bibba and Nicole. But to have planned it, to have prepared it, and to have performed it with such ruthless selfishness is truly terrifying. He did not care what he had to do to get what he wanted. And these 2 women were nothing more than a means to a very disturbing end." He was ultimately proven guilty, charged with life in prison with a minimum of 35 years. After the trial, their mother, Mina, spoke before the press and said of her daughter's killer, Daniel Hussein, quote, "He's just an obnoxious human being. He is a broken human being who, if he had not been caught, 4 other families may have been suffering what we have." She later spoke to a radio station, quote, saying, quote, "When we hold hatred for someone, it's not only them who is held captive, it's you, because your thoughts become consumed by revenge. I refuse to give him that power. He is a non-entity to me. But as far as the Metropolitan Police officers that dehumanized her daughters, that was a whole other story." She later said, quote, "Obviously what they did wasn't as bad as murdering, but you're telling me you have violated our girls further? Because of that, I haven't forgiven." This murder...
Amen to that.
Right? They had... that it was their job, their sworn duty. They made it their life to protect and serve their citizens. And instead they dehumanize and violate, and I don't have words for what they did. I think that their mother, Mina, is a very powerful... I know that their mother, Mina, is a very powerful woman. And I admire her for her strength. She speaks about her daughters quite a bit. But I admire her strength for her forgiveness for her daughter's killer. She empathizes and understands that her daughter's killer is a sick man. A very, very sick individual who will hopefully rot in prison. That does nothing to bring back her daughters. But in contrast to those policemen, it's borderline easy to forgive him in comparison to them. Whew. So this murder took place about a week after George Floyd's murder in America. So over here in the United States, it kind of got overshadowed as far as press coverage is concerned. But in the UK, this was their BLM case of 2020. So I find it very interesting that we had 2 very similar, not super similar, but similar enough as far as social uprising, social reaction case kind of happened right around the same time. They basically had their own BLM, Black Lives Matter, and it was really important for their culture, for their laws and legislature. It really, I don't want to get into all of the uprising, the protests, the ramifications of what had happened in this case. This case changed a lot for the citizens of the UK. This did a lot, honestly. It really did bring attention the quote unquote pretty white girl syndrome, and brought the attention to, the acknowledgement that, hey, you have to look at all of the Black and brown women out there as well. Like, you have to look after your people of color as well as your pretty little white girls that go missing. Like, everybody should be accounted for. Yeah. Keep up with your missing persons regardless of race, color, whatever. And of course, the outcry against the officers who did what they did. I don't want to say it out loud again because it makes me want to fucking vomit. Yeah, this case changed a lot. And Mina was the forefront of it all. She was kind of the face for her daughters. She was included in the BBC's the BBC's 100 women list of women for 2021 who were recognized for reinventing society and culture around the world. So this is 100 women from around the world that made an impact. She was honored for her accomplishments as the Archdeacon, as well as her efforts for the police reform in the United Kingdom. Mina Smallman told BBC, quote, "What I want to do is to make things better so that things that happen to us never happen to anyone else," end quote. And I just wanted to end on that and acknowledge that, because I just feel like it is such an unnecessary burden, but also such an important change that happens because of the families of the victims in these cases. Because of them standing up for their loved ones,
if it weren't for
we
them,
get
the
change.
Status quo would never change.
And it's not their responsibility.
No, they're already going through it.
Their responsibility is to be home, be safe, take care of themselves, heal. But instead, they are doing press conferences. They are forefronting fucking social change. They're doing all this fucking work. So that way we don't have to suffer what they went through. They're making it a better place for us. And I don't think it's fair, but I think it's admirable. And man, I admire that woman. This case destroyed me. It was a lot of
sad.
It took me a long time to get through the research just because I couldn't get to the part after their death.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Once it hit that part and the rest of the details, I had to walk away. I had to go watch some stand-up. I had to scrub some dishes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's sad.
Heartbreaking.
And
absolutely heartbreaking.
Shameful.
But important.
Yeah.
Important to talk about, important to discuss, important to remember, because it was absolutely senseless. And God damn it, those were some amazing women.
Sure were.
So here's to mental health. I really hope we can really take care of our mentally sick. And so this doesn't happen again. We must prevent this.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. So the only business time I have today is
Patreon.
Is I want to say thank you for all your support last year. Me and Willow really both had a really rough year.
Amen to that.
A lot of changes for Willow, a lot of difficult setbacks for me. I lost my entire livelihood. I built up a whole other career.
Right.
Which is actually doing okay.
And same, kind of,
So pretty good.
Same, yeah. I started at ground zero,
work.
And I am working my way up to single mother of 2 who pays her own bills and does all the things. And
good job.
Girl, I'm doing it.
You do.
I can't believe
I told you could.
So I'm sorry I'm interrupting, but I know from me, I'm very grateful that y'all have been so kind, because I have not been very good with my time management, juggling all of the things that I juggle.
It's a lot to get used to, so no one's mad. I struggled probably with the worst depression of the last 15 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Maybe the last 10. Maybe the
Yeah.
last 10. I've had some times. But you guys are very nice to me. Your words are very uplifting. I happen to shut down and withdraw when I'm really sad, so I went through a lot of that. Same. And I was very overwhelmed for most of the year.
Same.
So I'm hoping moving forward, I do feel a little better.
I disassociated the entire year of 2024.
Pretty much.
So I have not been active, and I apologize. I really want to be active in y'all's lives again. I miss my listeners. I miss you guys. But disassociation station.
I'm surprised the podcast survived last year.
I am very shocked and surprised and honored.
That we kept trying.
Yeah, and we get new listeners all the time. I have people tell me all the time that they just started listening. They just found us. So I'm shocked. I'm surprised. I'm grateful.
And for those of you that hung on through a really difficult year with us, I want you to know I appreciate that too.
And fucking cheers. Because I know that a lot of y'all listening were right there, shoulder to shoulder with us through the muck. Y'all were going through the bullshit too.
Oh, yes. Amen.
You know, we had camaraderie as we were at our depth and our lowest. And I know that sucks. I don't wish that on any of you, but I appreciate you being there with us and standing in solidarity.
Yes.
Y'all are
for
great.
Anyone who's asked, and I've had a few, yes, my car fund is still ongoing. I just sold the sad husk of my car today.
For parts.
The engine is gone, you understand? It just exploded, a blown engine.
Yeah.
4 out of the 6 cylinders, there was gasoline in the catalytic converter and oil. In the oil, there was metal bits.
But she had brand new tires on there, and she's going to get it for the price of rubber.
Battery. I made the cost of that back. But that's it. It's going to pay the tag. All I have left is to pay the tag on a new car. And I don't have a lot of money for a new car, so this is going to be rough.
It makes me want to ram my forehead into a brick wall on your behalf.
Thank you. Since I've lived here. I've lived here for 10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not quite. Almost. This will be my 10th year coming up, 2025. I have, hold on, 1, 2, 3. That's the 4th car I've sold for scrap. Not because I just wanted to get a different car. It's because something vital, just the car was destroyed. And I'm not crazy with my cars that get oil change. I drive like a mom. I drive slow.
Yep.
I'm not out here off-roading.
She was in a nearly fatal car accident. She drives
cautiously.
So cautiously.
Indeed. Very safe.
Yes. Very safe.
Take care of my cars. They're very clean and very nice. They smell good.
The roads around here do destroy cars. It is a literal roller coaster, but
not like this.
No.
I'm cursed, so if whoever's put it on me, I'm gonna find you.
Lift that bitch.
You lift it before I figure out who you are, and I put you in a jar with your name in it. No, but in all seriousness, if you want to help out, all my information's there. I would appreciate it, because this has been not a good time. I'm having weird PTSD flashbacks from the near year I didn't have a car.
Right.
Okay. But I love you guys, and I just want to say thank you for sticking with us when we weren't doing our best, because all we could do is what we did. Our best was very far out of reach. It was just a miracle we could do.
Oh, our best is what we did, but the best potential of all that we have?
No.
That was far out of reach, for sure.
And I don't like to make promises, because I'm always like, it'll be the best year ever. Like an idiot. I'm not saying nothing.
No.
I'm not putting that evil on myself.
I will say that I will watch and not participate. I'm just going to be I want this to be my bystander year.
For what?
The circus that is life.
Oh, I ain't even watching. Fuck the news. I don't need to know none of that. It's not making me happy.
Not my circus, not my monkeys. I just have the popcorn.
I'm keeping an eye on it in case I need to flee for my life and the life of my spouse. That's all. Yeah. And if one more person tells me touch grass or that I'm overreacting, you're going to wish you hadn't said that, because I'm going to lose it. I've fucking had it. I'm teetering on the edge. Don't do it. Just don't. Let me be wrong. I want to be wrong. Yeah. I want to be the wrongest bitch that ever lived. I want to be able later to say, you know what? I was overreacting there.
Oh, nothing bad's going to happen? Prove it. Prove it. I'm in my prove it era. Prove it.
I'm just in my don't with me right now. It's not a good time. Yeah. I have hanging on by a thread. Very frayed, creaky, sad little thread. And if you don't want to be there when it snaps, because I'm just gonna come at you like a hurricane. Don't do it. Just had enough. That's all. I'm unhinged. It's not my fault. It's in the washing my hands of this shit era is what I'm in.
Eager.
I am not responsible for anything that I do. If you come at me with touch grass, I'll touch you.
Oh my God. That sounded so creepy.
I'll touch you so hard.
Ew, gross.
Oh, you won't like it. Nobody will like it. It will hurt so much. It will feel... Have you ever, any time in your life, like you were physically punching and fighting and stuff, fight. Have you ever taken your whole hand, snaked it out, grabbed somebody's entire fleshy belly, and just grabbed it, not let go in your fist, and just twisted it like a psycho? You ever done that? It's good. I can't wait to do it again.
I can probably count on less than one hand how many fights I've been in.
Really?
Yeah.
I was scrappy in my youth.
I am a small, little, tiny person.
I don't matter. That makes you hard to catch, like a little greased pig.
Stop it.
Don't fight fair. Go for the genitals, the eyes, start biting.
I go for the knees.
Knees are good. They're weak little hinges. Just smack them.
Smack them.
Get them down, and then just go ham on them, man. Just get to kicking and pulling, yanking, pinching. Pinching is so good in a fight, y'all. Let me tell you, if somebody is attacking you and you were thinking, oh my God, just start pinching stuff. Nobody likes it.
I forgot. That is a random talent that I have. I have the
strong pinching hands.
Insane ability to find nipples, no matter what the body type is. Find it, and I can pinch it. I just have that ability. Don't know why. It's been a long time since I used that.
I want to kick you like football.
Yep.
I will kick you like football.
I really wish you would.
Oh, I'm gonna. That's when I'm less tired. Anyway, this is unhinged and insane, and you don't need to hear it. You've probably quit hearing it and turned it off. I would.
If you're still here, you should definitely go to our Discord.
Yes.
Suggest us cases for this month. We might do them. We might not. I don't know. I could use some suggestions. There might be some that I remember later.
I don't need suggestions, but I could change my mind, so you never know.
You never know.
Never know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for being here.
We appreciate you. And we love you.
We love you.
So much.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Bibba.